Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. I'm your host, Corson Schmidt. Here today, I have Cory 3K Collins, known across the country. He is the alpha wolf of automotive reinsurance concepts, with a legacy rooted deeply in the auto industry and over 3 decades of experience. Cory has helped propel ARC to 200% growth 3 years running, earning recognition as the fastest growing warranty and reinsurance company in the US. Beyond numbers, he is the top F&I performer, an acclaimed industry speaker, and a passionate mentor who transforms dreams into reality through relentless positivity and hands-on leadership. If you want to understand how mindset and expertise can accelerate success, stay tuned, because I also have a special guest joining me, one of 3K's right-hand man, Brandon the Creative Vargas. Brandon has come on with short notice, so I don't have a introduction made up for him, but I'll let him take the reins, kind of explain your background, if you don't mind, and kind of how you got started in automotive.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so my name is Brandon Vargas. I've been in the business a little over 10 years. Actually, before I got into business, I was in the refineries making $11 an hour doing the hardest work possible. I was a hydro blaster. So anyways, some guy sent me a message on Facebook asking me about fishing good spots, and I saw he was a sales manager. Um, so I gave him the advice, and then I asked him about the car industry, and he ended up giving me a position, and I ended up making my first $10,000 check. I mean, I
That's
had never
crazy.
made more than probably $2,500 in my life, and then I was hooked. So I've done anything from, I was a salesperson, internet director, finance manager, sales manager, and now I'm doing this as a warranty rep and F&I trainer, traveling around the country, um, pretty much transforming F&I departments. So that's a little bit of background about
Amazing.
me. Yes, sir.
Perfect. And Cory, if you don't mind kind of explaining a little bit about your background. I know I kind of touched on it there, but just kind of how you got into the industry with such a um, tradition that runs deep in the family.
Yeah, so I was, unlike other kids, most kids at, 9 to 12 years old play Little League, and I was attending sales meetings. My dad was a dealer, his dad a dealer, three uncles all dealers. So I was, born and raised in the automotive industry. And I started in sales at 14. I was an F&I manager at 16 years old. I've worked for some large automotive groups. I was part of an 18-store new car franchise throughout central Indiana for all of my 30s, and then got my MBA, my master's degree from Northwood University. Was on the fast track to franchise opportunity, and then COVID took inventory away, and so it kind of realigned and reshifted everything, and so I took a step back, and a very good friend of mine, Justin Osborne, who is the CEO of Automotive Reinsurance Concepts, ARC, as we call it, is had started this warranty and reinsurance company, and had really, anything Justin touches, it just turns to gold. And he had done such a great job with this on his own, and I had trained Justin how to do F&I in 2005. We worked for the same auto group, but he worked in a Toyota store. I worked in a Chevy store. We had central accounting, and one day he just came over to drop some deals off, and he said, "Man, I just got promoted to F&I. I can't even spell it. Is there a way that you would help show me some things?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, sit down." Because one thing about me, I've always been a person that just feels like the value and the impact that you bring to other people is who you are, right? And so every life you touch, is how you're weighed and measured. At least that's how I feel. And to meet Justin Osborne in 2005, and now let's fast forward, almost 20 years later. Now we work together every day in his company. It's
That's
kind of
awesome.
crazy how that works, but that's just the power of mindset and the power of taking 5 minutes for somebody else. It just makes all the difference in the world. And I feel like our whole company operates that way. Brandon operates that way. I operate that way. We hire and fire based on our culture, so we make sure that everybody in our organization operates that exact same way. It's not what we do for ourselves, it's what we can do for somebody else, and we leave every morning with that mentality.
For sure. That's amazing. And just speaking about ARC there, do you mind giving us a little kind of overview on kind of what makes ARC unique and what you guys offer to dealerships before we really dive in?
Absolutely. So we're kind of a two-part company in that we have 20 groups, which are ARC 20 groups. We have one of the biggest 20 group independent and franchise groups in the country. We house some of the largest independent dealers in the country, as well as franchise stores. And we just do things different. You know, in a normal 20 group, they'll spend 2 days nonstop, line by line by line, to go through the composite, where what we're going to do is we're going to bring dealers together and do what is actually designed to do, and that's learn from each other. You know, we're gonna weave the composite in there, but we're gonna take time to talk about strategy and growth and what got you from 150 to 250, what moved you from 500 to 700, what moved you from 1,000 to 2,000 cars a month. So that's the benefit of our 20 group program. But then our warranty and reinsurance side, which is the ARC warranty and reinsurance, where me and Brandon we do things different than your average warranty and reinsurance company. And the idea that, you know, you'll have 100 warranty reps over the course of a year stop by a dealership and say, hey, listen, we're going to come in, we're going to move your F&I number, we're going to increase your gross profit, we're going to, you know, really move the needle, and our products are less expensive, and, you know, they make a boatload of promises. And then you fast forward 6 to 12 months later, and none of those things have taken place. Well, the way me and Brandon look at it is, when you do business with us, we're who you do business with, right? We come with products, but we're installing ourselves into your store. We're not your average warranty and reinsurance company where we're going to sit across the desk and tell your F&I manager, hey, if a customer says this is the best way to overcome that objection. We're going to move your F&I manager out of the way and say, let us run some deals. We're going to show you what we do, and then we're going to show you how you can do it so you can repeat what we do when we leave, and you can have the same success that we have. And don't get it wrong. I mean, we go into dealerships all the time that tell us, you know, hey, we're running the most that this department can run. We're maximizing every bank call. You know, this is the ceiling for this dealership. You might do that somewhere else, but you're not going to run that here. And Brandon will attest to it. We have to open their eyes. We have to shatter the glass ceiling. And that's one of the things that make us so unique, is we walk in the store ready to do that. I mean, I'm ready to deliver a car yesterday. When we go in, we're not afraid to sit in front of a customer. We're not afraid to take a turn. We'll go do your sales meeting. We'll work with your sales manager. We'll work with your office, your service department, your F&I team. We are your partner in warranty and reinsurance, not just your warranty and reinsurance company. And that's a huge difference compared to anybody else in the marketplace that would consider themselves a competitor to us, because nobody operates the way that we do.
For sure, especially with you with 20 years experience within the F&I industry and within industry itself, right? Like, you've been around it, you know the ins and outs, you know how to help these dealerships with what they need, and that's kind of the biggest thing. Like you said, you'll get a lot of cookie cutter industry or companies that will say, okay, we'll help you with this, and they promise and promise and promise, but they never actually deliver. And that's the biggest thing, is you guys kind of put that aside and you guys show them how to deliver and move things forward. I think that's super cool. Especially with the experience that you guys bring.
You know, it's, of course, and just to put this out there, when you're an F&I manager and you're working inside an independent or franchise store and you're trying to move the needle and you're trying to get to the next level, and all of these different people come through the door on a regular basis and we're going to help you, we're going to help you, we're going to help you, and they don't, it's extremely frustrating. You get to a point where you're like, I don't even want this person to come in the dealership anymore because they're not bringing me anything of sustenance. You know, it's one thing to sit across the desk and take out a piece of paper and show me, you know, draw this, and this is how you overcome this. Those ways are over. You know, you can't come inside a dealership and say, this is how you move the needle, if you personally can't do it yourself. We can, we do, and we will, and we'll continue to do that in every dealership that we partner with as we move forward.
For sure. What do you see as some of the biggest hurdles that these dealerships are trying to overcome when you guys step in and help them overcome some of these issues?
I think the biggest thing is a mindset. I think that as we walk into dealerships, 99% of stores believe that they are capturing every ounce of opportunity that exists. They believe that they're getting every dollar that's available in the callback. They believe that they're getting, you know, they're taking advantage of every opportunity they have for gross profit. And so they become accustomed to the idea that this is where we are and we're getting everything. You know, other stores might run $2,500, $3,000 a car. Our store's only going to run $1,700 because that's the opportunity that we have. So when we come in and show them, hey, we're going to run deals for a day and show you what we can do, and we run $3,000, $3,500, and it's clean and the paperwork's clean and the customers are excited and happy because of the way that we do things, it's completely different than what they've been exposed to in the past. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And as an F&I manager, You have no idea the world that's outside of your store unless you've seen it and you've experienced it. So it's awesome for us to get an opportunity to go out and do that and share that with F&I managers and bring them that positive mindset and that eye-opening opportunity that they may not have had previously, where they thought that, it didn't exist, and now all of a sudden it does because somebody just showed them that it was there to take and there to make happen.
For sure. That's back to mindset. That's one of the biggest things that holds a lot of people back and a lot of companies back. Like you said earlier, oh, we're at our max, we can't go any higher. That's everything with life, is your mindset. If you think big and you dream big and you believe you can do that and take those next steps to keep continuing, keep growing, you're gonna grow. Your company's gonna take that next step and truly grow. And there's one thing before I made up the script, we were emailing, and you had mentioned that you're all about positive mindset and manifestation, and manifesting your goals into dreams, and then making those dreams a reality. And I abide by those. The past year and a half, that's been my go-to, pushing forward with truly mindset and believing where I'm going to be. And I totally agree with you there. But how has that changed your aspect behind ARC and where you want to take yourself within your journey?
That's a great question, Corson, and this might blow your mind a little bit. I think Brandon knows this, but I ran a podcast. I had a top podcast here in the U.S. For about a year and a half called Used Karma. Obviously, being from a used car background, and somebody told me, and I hear this all the time, that if you did a podcast every day for a year, you'd never have to work again a day in your life. And a lot of people think that's monetary. It's not. What I gained from doing that podcast for a year and a half and talking about motivation and positivity and mindset and setting a goal and making it happen and understanding that, the dream is only 25% of it, right? It's the other 75% that requires action. And I really think that over that course of that year and a half that I was doing that podcast, I reprogrammed myself. And I realized that the people that were around me were great people, but we weren't like-minded. My focus was on growth and outreach, and their focus was on, where they were and being comfortable. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. If you are at a place in your life where you're comfortable and you're happy, by all means, that's fantastic. But I'm not a person who is satisfied, and it's just impossible for me to have that satisfaction. Momentarily, yes, but I want to grow. I want to impact more lives. I want to touch more people. I want to experience, everything that there is to experience in my life while I'm here, and I get to enjoy it. I'm gonna grab hold with both hands, and I'm gonna make it happen. And so I think that's one of the things that I really learned from manifestation and mindset, is that if you open your mind to, I'm gonna do this, you can do it. And, anybody that hears that and they think, that's total BS. Well, it is to you because you don't understand it because you never did it, right?
Exactly.
It's that adage that if you hear something over and over again, you start to believe it. Well, I became numb to the idea that if you show me your friends, you'll show me your future. And now my network, I honestly believe, has everything to do with my net worth. The people I surround myself with are the people I become. And as an F&I manager or general manager or dealer principal, if you're out there and you're watching this, take a look at the warranty and reinsurance company that you do business with right now. They might be the nicest people in the world. You might have the best personal relationship, but are they like-minded in goals and growth and determination and mindset? Because if they're not your company. Anybody can bring products in your store, but we bring results to your store. We wear t-shirts that say, "We found your lost PVR." Call us and we'll bring it back. And that's a bold statement to make on a regular basis, but we live by it. And the reason that we're successful as we are is because we just have the mentality that we're not going to lose. We have decided we're going to win. So now it's just a question of who are we going to put on this bus with us, right? We want to take as many people as we can from good to great.
For sure. And that kind of comes back to Brandon's story there when he explained earlier today. He said he never made over $1,500 a paycheck, and he worked towards that $10,000 paycheck, and he said it was mind-blowing. I'm assuming that started with your mindset, knowing you're going to take yourself there? Because if you didn't believe that, you were never going to accomplish that.
Oh yeah, the glass ceiling, as Corey said, had to be shattered. And once it was, I mean, at that point, I thought anything was possible, and I was always trying to become rich. I've always been trying to become rich since that point. Corey made a good point as far as like choosing your warranty and reinsurance groups. We all know that most people are just trying to collect a paycheck, that they're just content and they're just comfortable. But if you're anybody like a dealer, well, you're a dealer because obviously you're a very ambitious, driven person in the first place. And where we know most people aren't that driven, why would you just settle for somebody who falls in the average category? And so I think you should want to do business with people who are just as competitive and driven as ambitious as themselves. And that's definitely what sets I would say me and Corey and our company apart from every other company. That's why when a customer comes into the dealership and they're giving the most toughest objections and a finance manager's like, what should I say? Don't worry, bro. I'll go handle it. Just follow me. Let's go together. I'll be the finance director. You can be the finance manager. And I will showcase. I won't just tell him, I will showcase. And I think that's the best way to learn because I remember when I was a salesperson, the way that I learned was my sales manager would come and take a turn and I would hear everything that he would say. I would start to adopt his tonality, his body language, the scripts and phrases that he would say. And then before you knew it, 6 months later, I'm a professional. I'm selling 20 cars a month. Easy. Because it was based on what I was seeing in front of me. So that's a good point, Corey.
Yeah, you got to visualize it before actually putting in your own practice, and that really helped you work on, especially when
Yeah.
you see someone mastering their trade, right? Your manager would have been, or your sales director or manager would have been the master of his trade. If you can watch someone do what they're meant to do what they're master at, and kind of take little tips and tricks and keep adding them to your arsenal, you're going to want to grow
Yeah.
into that master of the trade and become. It inspires you every day when you see someone further above, seeing what they're doing, exactly how they're doing it. As long as you fill
Mhm.
those boots, you're going to be there at some point, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, breaking the glass ceiling. The very first dealership that I worked at when I was in F&I, if you were doing 15 to 1800 a copy, hey, you're doing great. You keep your job. You run 2 grand a copy, 2500 a copy, like, hey, you're the best of the best. Like, we love you. And I thought that's what was good. But then I moved to a much more competitive market where there was 4 finance managers. They're all running 3500 a copy. If you're running less than 3 grand, you're fired. You're done. And I had never, I, I think I did 2500 like max in the back end. And so essentially, the finance director told me, hey, just go shadow these 2 finance managers, and that's all you're going to do for a week. And that's all I did. That's all I did. And let me tell you, the things that I saw, I had never seen before because, again, I come from a smaller store in a smaller city with less
Yeah.
competitive, I would say ambitious people. And the things I heard, the things I seen, the objections that were overcame, I was just I was so impressed. But because I saw it was possible. Selling $10,000 service contracts. Like I ain't never seen that before. Like I thought, like if you hold $1,000 or $2,000 in a VSC, like you're a badass. But a $10,000, like I ain't never seen that, and I was seeing that. And again, I started running 3 grand a copy because all I did was adopt what they were doing. And that's why I strongly believe in going in there and actually performing because I think just as I was able to bump my PVR just by adopting somebody's processes that already make him successful, um, I think I can, extend that out to people I go and train.
For sure. Totally.
Yeah.
Um, the biggest thing that I live by is the mindset, right? You need to walk in with the right mindset every day. And that's the start of your day, as soon as you wake up. But with you guys, talking to new people every day, working with different companies, a lot of the time, how do you keep that positive mindset at the beginning of the day to really kind of pull your day together and keep motivating, keep pushing yourself, keep pushing the ones around you to just become better individuals themselves?
That's a great question, Corson. That's the ability, or I guess that's the benefit of having people around you that are so like-minded. So me and Brandon, we feed off of each other's energy. He might be in Portland, Oregon, and I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we're pushing each other. And we have more guys on our team. We have Chris Cardello, that's a great F&I trainer, account rep. Jeff Harmon out of the Carolinas, just unbelievable team. Rob Whistle, Jason Cayley's our fixed ops expert, accounting dream. I mean, the guy just understands a financial statement better than anybody I've seen in my entire life. And when you have this group of people and this is your network, I mean, anything is possible. You wake up every morning excited to go to work. And I can remember, especially when I was in the franchise stores for the last couple of years, Sunday night scaries, right? So Sunday night at 7 o'clock, it's like, oh my gosh, Monday morning is going to be here. I wonder what kind of mess is going to wait for me. And now on Sunday afternoon, I'm packing my suitcase, I'm headed to the airport, and I'm getting on a plane, and I'm flying somewhere to get to bed by midnight, to be in a store at 8:30 the next morning, roaring and ready to go. As funny as this sounds, last night, so it's Monday, August 11th. I'm at home today because I'm getting ready to do an F&I training class. I do 4 of those a year in Indianapolis, Indiana, and this is a big class. There's 27 students in this class. I'm pretty excited about that. And last night, I was at home with my family. We were headed to dinner on Sunday night, and I looked at my wife and I said, it's so weird to me to be home on Sunday night. So we looked at it, and it was only the 5th Sunday I've been home this year. We're already,
That's crazy.
August 11th. This is my 5th Sunday home this year, and I'm not upset about it. She's not upset about it, because we both know that what I'm doing when I leave the house on Sunday and what I'm taking out into the world and what I'm sharing with other people is so important. It just changes everything about who they were and what they think they can become, to see somebody else that has made that transition and made that change. I didn't wake up one morning and it just magically changed overnight. Over the course of a year, I reprogrammed myself to believe that there was no limitation on what I was capable of. And so, what I try and remind myself every morning, Corson, and I tell Brandon this all the time, is when I leave the hotel in the morning, or when I leave the house in the morning, and I'm headed to the dealership, no matter where it is across the country, because we travel all over the United States, when we walk through that door, that's our walk through the NFL tunnel moment, right? We take the field the minute we walk through the door. And the only thing that we're there to do is to raise the temperature in that room, right? We operate on 3 T's, right? So we want to control the tempo. We want to get things, we want to speed things up. We want to control the tension. We want to make sure everybody's getting along and that this culture is the way that it needs to be. And if it's not, we're going to get involved in it, right? So the tempo, the tension, and then the temperature. We want to raise it up a notch. Everybody's comfortable, that's great, but we're not hitting sales records and we're not hitting F&I records if everybody's comfortable. So we need to raise it up a notch. So, there's 2 kinds of warranty and reinsurance companies, right? There's thermometers and there's thermostats. We're thermostats. We go in and we raise the heat. That's what we are designed to do. There are specific people that are just built specific ways. We are those people, and we're a network of people that have that mindset. And that's why we've been so successful, because we don't need to wake up in the morning and find a reason to get motivated. We went to bed motivated. I heard somebody say Friday night, if you can sleep the night before a big meeting, or you can sleep the night before a big project, then you're probably not doing the right thing. Well, I go to bed at midnight, I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm ready to go. And Brandon will tell you, if you call me at 2:30, I'm going to answer the phone. We're excited about what we do every day, and there's not a lot of jobs in the country that can give you that kind of reward and satisfaction, and there's not a lot of people that will grasp onto it the way that we have as a team. And it's because we're excited. We are excited that this is our moment, this is our opportunity. We want to grow, and we don't ever want to look back. You get to a point where one of 3 things is going to happen. You're either going to go backwards, you're going to stay the same, or you're going to bust through the ceiling and you're going to grow. And we are a company designed to bust through the ceiling. Every time we reach a new level, we raise it. We set goals, not just 6 months, not just 90 days. We have a 10-year vision as a company. And we know what it takes to get to that 10 year because we know what it takes to get to 5 years, what it takes to get to 3 years. We know what we need to do in the next 90 days to hit our 1 year target. And we operate off of that so that we're all together and we all know whether it's marketing, whether it's ops, whether it's the 20 group program, whether it's sales. Everyone in our company knows exactly what they need to do to help us hit our targets so that we hit our 10 year goal. We just, we are a company that operates strictly off of here's where we're going to go. Here's how we're going to get there. And we kind of do the same thing with F&I managers, me and Brandon. When we go in and we meet, a group of F&I managers in a new store for the very first time, the first thing we tell them is, all right, let's set some goals, right? Because if you just get in the car and say, I'm going to go on vacation and you don't have a destination in mind, how are you going to know when you get there? You're
Exactly.
not. But if we all get in the car together and we say, all right, here's where we're going, here's the roadmap, we have steps to follow. And we know if we're getting there, if we're not getting there. If it's going the right direction, if we need to take an exit, do we need to take a detour? Maybe this way isn't working. Maybe that way works better for you. But let's bring you every opportunity and let's bring you every possible set of directions. And then you pick the direction and we're going to steer and guide and coach you all the way to where you want to get to. And it's not just about what we can do for the dealer, which is important. We want to bring that gross profit difference to the dealer. But even more important than that, it's what we want to bring to the individual. If you take an average F&I manager, and let's just say, and I'm just using just a crazy number. Let's just say they're used to making $5,000 a month and they're running $1,000 a car. And now all of a sudden you teach them how to run $3,000 a car and their income level goes from $5,000 to $15,000. What do you think you did for that individual? Not just that individual, but for their spouse, for their kids, for their mindset, for their outlook on life. You changed everything about them. There is no better reward in life than changing someone else's life. And that, to me, that is the driving factor, the driving force to our company. And guys like me and Brandon that, we don't need the motivation in the morning. We went to bed with it.
For sure. No, I love that. You made some amazing points there. But the one thing that really stood out to me was when you said that they need you guys to come in with that roadmap. It almost sounds like a lot of these dealerships need help, have a leadership issue. It almost seems like they have that leadership issue where you guys come in, you guys know what you're doing, you guys have that leadership, you have that mentality, you come in, you show them the roadmap, you give them that roadmap and help them create that vehicle to take them from point A to point B. And that's one of the biggest things.
It's not necessarily a leadership issue, and I think Brandon would agree with me here. It's a you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
If I've worked in this store for 20 years, guess what my go-to saying is? That's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Guess what a death sentence is? That's the way we've always done it, right? And so it's not that you're a bad person. It's not that you're a bad leader. It's not that you don't want your store to be successful. It's that you've never experienced or seen things work differently than the way that you know them. And that's great if you're happy where you're at. But if you want to grow, then you got to go with people that can bring you those proven growth strategies that make a difference. And so that's, one of the things that I think we bring to the table. And it's not, it's not that we're any better than anybody else. It's the fact that we're committed to helping someone else see it, feel it, institute it, and make it happen.
That's the biggest thing for me and Cory. We've been exposed to so much different ways of business, right? Like I've done finance in Chicago. I've done finance in St. Louis, Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is an extremely affluent, competitive market, but I had to learn how to thrive there. I've worked with small dealers, and so every place they have something maybe that I didn't know. But guess what? I got to extract that nugget, and all it did was make me better. So that's the beautiful part about doing business with us, like me and Cory, where we've been exposed by so much ways of business, by so much information, and like I said, we're able to relay that to the people that we work with. So it's a beautiful thing.
No, that's awesome. That's amazing. One of the big things that stood out to me that you said earlier, Cory, was that your whole team knows exactly where you guys are going. They know where ARC is going, and you guys are all driving towards that same goal. And that's one of the biggest things within companies that I see is that not everyone's on the same page. The CEO has his own goal. The supervisor might have their own goal, and no one's on the same page where you guys all see that end roadmap. You see that destination of where you guys want to go, and everyone is driving towards that, taking right down to the small steps. You guys have the 90-day goals of exactly where you guys want to be in the 90 days, the 2-year goal to take those steps and keep moving forward. I think that's one of the biggest things that I see is that a lot of companies aren't aligned. They aren't working with people that have that same, back to mindset again, they don't have that same mindset, or they don't have that same end goal. And that's one of the biggest things, is bringing people around with that energy and showing them where you want to go. Like sitting down and asking them as well, bouncing ideas off one another and investing your whole team into where you want to be, because they're key factors on where the CEO wants to take a company, right?
Right.
And you guys have had massive growth in the past few years, and I'm assuming that's kind of been one of the main factors to that, is you guys are all bouncing ideas off each other. You're all working on it together as a team, moving everything forward. I think that's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of companies struggle with. Not just dealerships, not just automotive, but companies in general as a whole, are on the planet, really.
I would take it a step further. I think something that makes us really different as a company is I think really a lot of people can have goals. A lot of people make goals, but what makes us different, the difference is in the actionables, right? Like if what I am is I'm fat, and let's say what I want to become is, healthier or have a six pack. Well, in between that is certain actions that must be implemented on a daily basis, because that's what's going to drive the change. And so that's something that we really focus on as a company, is like, okay, what actionables must we do on a daily basis in order to take us from here to here? And so what I've done is, yeah, I have my goal, but I don't worry about the goal. I worry about what actions do I need to do today before I go to sleep. It must be done no matter what. And so that's the biggest difference, I would say, between our companies. We're really focused on the actionables.
For sure. Breaking it down at the end of the day.
Yeah, because you
Breaking
can
it
have
down
a goal.
into
You
those
can have a goal, but
actionables.
if you're not eating, let's say I want the six pack. If I'm not eating good, if I'm not waking up at 5 and going to the gym, if I'm not doing the 3 miles, if I'm not weighing in every day, if I'm not taking the picture to see my progress, then I'm never going to change.
Yeah.
So the actionables is the most important part. You have to list down what must be done, and you just have to do it. And we're very focused on those actionables.
For sure. For sure. And a lot of people lose motivation because they don't keep taking the steps. If you keep taking the steps, you're going to stay motivated. But if you stop
Yeah,
taking the
well,
steps, it's going to hold you back.
it's funny you say that, because I'm a big believer in wins lead to more wins and losses lead to more losses. So you ask the question, like, how do I wake up motivated? Well, logically, I just understand that if I don't crush the day first, the day is going to crush me first, right? So what do I mean by losses lead to losses and wins lead to wins? Well, let's say I wake up late. Well, let's say I was going to go to the gym, right? I want to have a big productive day. But let's say I wake up late. Oh, man, I don't have time to go to the gym. Now I'm at the dealership. But let's say I'm on a diet. Well, I didn't make it to the gym. I might as well eat that taco, right? And like the losses just keep stacking up. But if you wake up early, that's the first win. You make up the bed, second win. Shoot, now I'm motivated. Let's go to the gym. Third win. I'm not gonna eat a taco now. Like, bro, I'm on a roll. Why would I eat a taco? Like, I went to the gym. I did everything that I had to do today. So my big thing is crush the day before the day crushes you. Wins lead to more wins, and losses are gonna lead to more losses. And
That's
you just gotta
huge.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I was big on the cold plunging over the winter, but it's summer here in Ontario now, so I can't. I haven't bought the cold plunge yet, but I mastered my mornings. Right, that's the biggest thing. The start of your day. First
Yes.
thing I do is get in that cold plunge, put my body through
Yeah.
something tough to beat the day. Right, you
And
gotta.
that's way better than coffee, by the way. I'll tell you what. I used to get in the cold plunge, and I'm awake. We're ready. I'm telling
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
cold plunge hits different. They're so nice. They're so everyone's
hmm
like. I mean, they're cold and they're hard, but it's that mind. It's just getting over that fear, getting over that mind, beating your
What
mind
could
right at the
be
start of the day.
harder? What could be harder than sitting in ice water for 15 minutes? The rest of my day is easy. You know how
Yeah.
hard it is to do that? Like, you just woke up, you got the crust in your eyes. I'm just gonna roll into an ice bath. The rest of the day is easy.
Dude, I love it. If you guys get the opportunity, do it. Like 100%. It's the way to go. It'll
Yeah.
change your mornings around.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
what are some of the biggest trends that you're seeing within dealerships that they're needing a hand with, or you guys are kind of helping them with? I know I touched on that a little bit earlier. Let's get a little bit deeper within that trend, that the trends that you're seeing within dealerships.
I think one of the biggest trends that we're seeing right now is that a lot of, compliance changes have came down the pipe over the last couple of years, and the amount of dealers that either A, they don't know it, or B, they feel like they're immune to it until they have a problem, right? And
For sure.
so it's about being proactive instead of reactive. And so that's something that we practice and we preach is, you need to be ahead of a problem before you have a problem. And so if you've got customer information lying all over your dealership, and I can tell you that 99% of stores do, you better figure out what you're going to do to get it cleaned up, and you better figure it out pretty fast. And so that's one of the things that me and Brandon look for, and our whole team when we're in a store is we're looking for, is there exposure, whether they're our client or not. We want to make sure that we're putting them in the best shape because we've touched that store. So if we've touched that store, we want to make you guys aware of where you stand and what's what's on the horizon. And I think that's that's a major thing that a lot of people just kind of turned a blind eye to. Like I said, until it becomes a problem, and then it's too late. You can't fix it once it's broken without a major slap on the wrist, and nobody wants to, to take that on the chin for sure.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any other trends there, Brendan? Same thing?
Yeah, that's definitely a trend for sure. And then I would say the other trend is the fact that the customer marketplace is also becoming just as, I would say, they're increasing in competence when it comes to purchasing cars, which is all the more reason you really need to make that investment in your, in your management team and get them trained up, because customers have all of the information at their, to their, the customers have all of the information at their disposal these days. Obviously, you got you can find out what your trade is worth. You can find out where your interest rates should be. You can price cars out and see who's going to give you the most competitive price. And then these customers, they come into the store and they've watched all the TikToks, read all the books. They consulted with their uncle, and a lot of these customers are a lot more educated these days. And if you want to be profitable, well, you got to get your team even more competent than the customer. So that's a big trend, is a lot more customers obviously know a lot more.
For sure.
And
One of the
listen,
biggest...
of course, what Brandon's trying to say is your dealership has to understand the value mindset now more than ever. And most dealerships struggle with that, right?
Mm.
How do I create value for a customer that knows everything? Well, there's three sides to that. The first side is you have to create value through your presentation. And that means your store's got to look good. You can't have trash all over the place. You got to be presentable, right? You have to look like a place people want to do business, right? The second part of that is you have to have people that people want to do business with, right? Because people buy from people they like. I don't care if the price is $500 to $1,000 more at store A versus store B. If I like the person in store A, I'm probably going to do business there, right? Now, there's 3% of people that aren't going to do that, but it's a value proposition. If I called you and said, hey, I just want to thank you for coming in today. Here's a quick video of the car you just looked at. So while you're shopping, you can go back and take a look at this. And that way, if you have any questions, you have my information, but you also have a way to review this vehicle without having to get back online and find it again. Small thing, huge difference. And then the third side of that, which is where me and Brandon come in, which we feel like is the most important, is the customer experience once they've agreed to purchase a car. Everybody focuses on, how do I get the lead? How do I get the customer in the building? How do I get the inventory? How do I sell it cheaper than the next guy? And what they should be focusing on is, how can I create the best customer experience possible, where when a customer leaves my store, I don't have to ask for a Google review, I earned one. And so one of the things that we do is we train F&I departments how to brand the dealership as part of the F&I delivery process. And it's extremely unique. As far as I know, no one else does it the way that we do it. And we do it that way because companies like Coke and Pepsi that spends billions of dollars a year on marketing, we can do it as a part of the F&I delivery process for free and get the best repeat referral customers you've ever had in your life, because we've created an experience that not only branded the store, but instead of 90% of F&I departments where when a customer says, hey, look, no, I'm not interested, they get the attitude shifts and they get treated like crap. What if we were able to remove that objection before it ever came to play, because we put ourselves on the same level as the customer and we understood that time is our most valuable asset, right? And so Talk to me about the time value of money instead of, you buy this car, something may break, it might cost you $5,000. The fear mentality is gone. Show me value that exists somewhere else. This service contract is going to take care of you because it's going to save you this amount of time. Should you experience a problem? Hopefully you don't, but if you do, this is why we have this, right? And so it's just switching the mentality from the way that we've always done it to the way that we should do it. And I think that's a big trend right now, is that, customers are more educated. They understand what they're buying. They understand what kind of deal they can get. So the question is, what kind of experience is your dealership providing? I encourage you as a dealer, if you're watching this, send a customer through your F&I process and then talk to them and see what kind of feedback you get, because it's going to blow your mind. And when you go to your warranty and reinsurance company and you say, what are you guys doing about this? Well, sorry, in our 20-minute visit in your store, we didn't get that. We didn't burn that bridge. We didn't cross that. I'm sorry. Where we're there for the day. We get there when you get there. We leave when you leave. We want to see how you deliver customers. We want to give you feedback. We want to give you the positive criticism. If you're doing it wrong, let's show you what you did wrong. If you're doing it right, let's congratulate you that you did right. But you can always learn something, right? So this is the big thing. Your mind is like a parachute. If it's not open, it doesn't work. So if I'm going to jump out of a plane, I'm going to pull the ripcord, right? So if you're a dealer, I encourage you to do the same thing. Pull the ripcord. Reach out to me, to Brandon, to ARC, and let's get you on the same train and the same playing field that we're on, where we're focusing on the customer experience, the delivery experience, and making the difference every single day, where you see the results. And instead of apologizing for what you wished had been, let's show you how to create what your team is capable of, so you don't have to apologize for it. Instead, you grow from it, right? Because no dealer says, I hope we sell 100 cars this month, right? They say, I want to sell 150. I want to sell 250. If I'm selling 500, I want to move to 1,000. How do I get there? The customer experience is how you get there. It's what drives the machine. Sure, you got to have inventory. Sure, you got to have service. Sure, you got to have people. But the biggest draw to people is people, right? Because if I see a crowd of people inside a dealership and I'm inside the dealership, the crowd doesn't dissipate. It doesn't go away. More people are buying when more people are buying. So how do you get that mentality? How do you make that exist inside your showroom? It's by design. It's not by default. It doesn't just happen on its own. So I think that's a big thing to understand, is getting your team on that same page, that we have to find new ways to create value. And one of the best ways we can do that is to create a customer experience that customers are excited about, right? And so I think that's just one of the things that I find as a trend, and Brandon does too, and we talk about it all the time, is what could we bring in the dealership to show you today a new way to change the way that you've done things that creates such a tremendous value and such a tremendous change in your culture that you immediately reap the rewards from it. And we pride ourselves on it. That's one of the things that we see as the biggest volume mover in a store is your people, right? If your people are excited to come to work and they're not grumpy and they're excited for every opportunity, they treat every customer like it's the last one they're ever going to have, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure they have the best experience possible, they're not going to forget it. They're going to continue.
Cory, let me ask you a question, Cory. How many times have you gone to a restaurant? You're not thinking about spending more money, but you're going to have to tip, other than paying for the food that you buy. But when that server just provides you phenomenal customer service, they're just so great. How many times have you felt it intrinsically, like, I'm gonna throw her $100. Like, I know I only need to give her a $10 tip, but she did such a great job. She provided such great customer service. I'm gonna give her 100. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. But to Cory's point, customer service is slept on. Everybody's so worried about just the numbers, just the numbers. The funny part is the customer might pay all the money if you just give the best customer service you can.
For sure. I love that. And it's back to customer retention, right? If you get that waiter or waitress that does an amazing job, you give them that $100, you're going to go back there next time you're in town or next time you go out for dinner, because they treated you like a king. They treated you the way you want to be treated, and people will come back to that. And in business, that's one of the biggest things. If you can keep your customers coming back, that is the most important thing, because you keep getting that business and you're going to keep attracting more people. They had a great experience. They're going to go tell all of their friends, hey, I love this dealership. They were amazing. I loved this restaurant. It was phenomenal. The customer service was amazing. I recommend going there. but you have to keep
Yeah.
that with everyone within the company. It can't just be one person. It has to be everyone and the whole atmosphere within the building. So I love that. Totally agree with it. As for AI and digital tools helping dealerships, do you guys see them having a positive impact or negative impact within the dealership environment?
Well, I think it's a positive impact. I really do. I think that, dealerships that are small, that don't have a BDC, a good follow-up system for their customers and nurturing their leads. I think AI is the difference maker for those stores. I think it's what's going to drive them to the next level. And there's a lot of tools out there in the AI industry. I think you just have to research and you got to find what fits best for you. I think you got to be careful of, who you decide to do business with, and just make sure that you're doing business with somebody that has results, somebody that you can pick up the phone and call and get some, historical data from other stores that have, felt the difference by having them as a partner. So I do think it's a good thing. I think it's but it has to be used the right way. I guess I should say that. I don't want AI to write my customer, my thank you letter. I want to personalize my thank you letter. I want to thank that customer for coming in, right? Because that's how I keep that personal attention, that hometown feel, if you will. And I feel like, if you're using Chat GPT to do everything for you, I think you're getting yourself removed from the human element of what makes us human, right? What that connection that grows our customer base even further.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I think AI is essentially free labor for you. And I think if the dealers, if they don't get on board, the problem is, we know whenever you get a lead, an internet lead, we know that a lot of times a bunch of dealers will actually, get the opportunity. And a lot of times it's just about who calls that lead faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how, just it's going to be more difficult for just a normal person to beat, artificial intelligence to the punch, so it's a tool to be leveraged. But like to Cory's point, I do think you still need the human element involved.
Yeah, totally. The way I look at it, AI can be hugely beneficial. Back to Cory said, as long as you use it properly, right? As long as you're using it to maybe, I'm not going to put any examples out there because I don't want to say the wrong example and it goes bad for someone. But if you use it positively to enhance your team, to enhance your writing just a little bit, maybe you're a little bit illiterate, so you use it to help you just to get a little bit of a better message, or that base. As long as you use it to enhance yourself, enhance your team, maybe use it even as a little bit of training. Hey, someone responded with this. What are my options for the best responses? Just using it to vary and using it as a positive impact within the business, instead of using it for everything, because it's going to set you backwards if you use it for everything. People now can tell what is AI and what is a real human. And people are navigating more towards that real human feel at the end of the day. So as a team who trains and mentors across country, what shifts are you guys witnessing in how dealers approach customer protection, retention, and value?
What shifts are we seeing as far as
within
the
industry?
vehicle?
Within the industry, what shifts are you seeing across dealerships that are really driving customer retention within dealerships, really driving that value for the client or the customer themselves?
What do you think on this one, Cory?
Well, I think that dealers are starting to understand that if you want to grow, right? If you want to maximize your opportunity, then you have to understand customer retention, right? And customer retention starts with the meet and greet on the lot, and then it comes into the dealership and the F&I experience. And then the ability to bring that customer back into your service drive is incredibly important. If you can retain 70% of your service business, so your sales to service conversion can live at 70%, you can grow your company 20% a year. But you have to make it a priority, right? And how do you make it a priority? You make it a priority by making sure that every customer has the best experience possible. I'm an Automax today. Automax of the Carolinas, they're the 10th largest independent dealer in the country. And here it's not, the back of the mind, it's the priority. And because it's the priority, they achieve it. They sell 600 plus used cars a month in a standalone independent store. And they do it because everything is centered around making sure that we provide the best experience possible so we can get that retention and we can continue to grow. You know, it was 3 years ago, they were selling 350 cars a month. So in 3 years, they've doubled what they did, and they've done it because they make sure that they create a lasting impression that drives the customer back.
For sure. Great point there. And that's not even just dealerships in general. If you look at any company, if you can keep that retention, keep your customers happy, keep your clients happy, they're going to keep coming back working with you. And it brings you that recurring revenue at the end of the day. And you can stack on top of that, bringing in new customers as well. And the better you treat your clients, the better the word gets out there, the faster the word gets out there, and the more people want to work with you because you treat your customers so well. Anything to add there, Brandon?
Yeah, I would agree with Cory on that. Dealers are definitely putting a big emphasis on retention, and I've noticed based on the products that they try, I guess based on the products that they want to integrate into their menu. So things like appearance package, or it could be something like LoJack, and a product like LoJack. The reason it's so good with customer retention is because you have the customers, they'll download an app, and when you download that app, you can actually market to that customer using notifications versus text messages, which is fantastic. But the point being is I've noticed a shift with dealers where they're looking more for products that are, I guess, better integrated with their phones or something that's going to, give the customer an opportunity to come back. So I definitely see a big focus on that.
For sure. For sure. Looking forward for ARC, I know you guys work together as a team, dial out those goals like we were talking about earlier in the podcast. What are some of those top goals and top priorities for ARC over the next few years? Where's ARC really want to be?
We want to be across the United States. Our goal is to have 25 stores in every state in the United States. And it's not a question of if, it's just a question of how fast. As the 3-year running fastest growing warranty and reinsurance company in the nation, what separates us from anybody else is I'm not going to stop at your store and hang out for 20 minutes and bring donuts and tell your guys hi. We're going to go in and push the needle. We're just different. We're not a thermometer. We're a thermostat. I'm not going to tell you what the temperature is. I'm going to raise it. That's how we do things. We are service-based company. We're an F&I performance-driven machine, and that's who we are, and that's what we do.
Love that. And what are some of the short-term goals, short-term steps that you guys need to hit those goals in the next few years? Reaching more dealerships, doing more content, or go ahead.
No, I think that what we're doing right now is successful. We're proving it. Each store we sign, we make an impact. And, the more you do for other people, the more you do for yourself. And we don't think about ourselves first. We think about our dealers first, then we think about our team, and then we think about ourselves, so we subscribe to the 3 is-its, right? So is it good for the company? Is it good for the team? And is it good for me? And because of that, and because of our mindset and our ambition and our drive, and just our relentless passion to go the distance, that's what separates us from anybody else. And that, to me, is what's putting us out there. So the more we do for our dealers, the more we do for ourselves. And I think just following that path will continue to help us grow. And, we just recently rebranded our website. If you haven't had a chance, to check out arcnation.com, I highly suggest you do it. It talks about our 20 groups, our consulting, our warranty and reinsurance products. The website is beautiful. And I mean, it really tells the story of who we are and what we're about.
Amazing. What are some of the challenges that you guys do go through with reaching those goals? Some of the challenges that you guys went through in the past and are currently going through to reach those goals that you guys want to hit?
I think the biggest challenge that we face is, trying to figure out how we can get to every store to provide that level of service. And that's the best problem in the world to have, right? Everybody wants a growth problem, and we have that growth problem, and we're tackling it. We're covering every place we need to be. Brandon's service in Hawaii, he's in Boston, he's in Texas, he's in Chicago, he's in Indiana, and I'm in Florida and Tennessee and Arkansas and North Carolina, South Carolina. I mean, between the two of us, we're covering the country. One of the things that I think is a challenge for us is finding somebody else like us. We want to bring on more people like us. We want somebody in the wolf pack that has our drive, has our ambition, isn't afraid to get on the road for 6 straight days and go deliver and bring value and wake up with that as the priority, right? Because there's a lot of people that want to do what we do, but there's a lot of people that just want it. And you can't just kind of want it, right? You got to want it as bad as you want to breathe. And that's what separates us. And so, that's something we're looking for. We're looking for people that want it as bad as they want to breathe. And we're going to find those individuals. They're out there, but we're going to be selective. We're going to be slow to hire, right? Because we want the right players on our team to continue to develop the brand image that we've spent the last 3 years building. For
sure. Speaking with you guys are absolute savages. Do you mind expanding a little bit, telling me more about your team that you guys work with, what dealers can expect working with not you two, but other people on the team?
Sure. So we have Rob Whistle. We call him Rob the Rainmaker, because Rob's one of the top sales trainers in the country. He doesn't just do sales training courses. He also moderates 20 groups and brings a lot of value to our dealer clients and helps bring in more dealer clients to help grow our 20 group base. Jeff Harmon is a North and South Carolina territory rep. He's absolutely awesome. Probably one of the best people you'll ever meet. He's got, 15 plus years experience in warranty and reinsurance and really brings the value. And then we couldn't do what we do without the strength of our our headquarters team, our HQ team. They are phenomenal. We've got Amber Berg, Melanie Mills, Michelle's in the HQ, David Gavin, our marketing guy, Howard Bullock. Ryan Jennings, our national sales manager. These people are what make ARC what it is. Me and Brandon are climbing on airplanes and zipping all over the country. And, we're just built different. And that's a blessing. But we couldn't do it and we couldn't accomplish what we accomplished without the team of individuals that support us and are behind us. So, we're very fortunate, very blessed to have an entire group of like-minded people with one thing in mind, and that's serve our clients. And so, that's helped us get where we are. And that's helped us, really demonstrate in the marketplace what makes us who we are. So, we're really fortunate.
For sure. Love that. Looking back on your guys' career, with the experiences that you guys have now, what advice would you have given your younger self starting out as a young automotive individual, wanting to get into the space, wanting to learn, wanting to maybe even get into a dealership and sell? What advice would you have given yourself back then?
The advice that I would have given myself 15 years ago would be that the loudest boos come from the cheapest seats. And there's two different types of individuals. There's those that sit in the stands and there's those that get on the field. And it's easy to sit in the stands and tell you why you can't do it and why it's crazy and why nobody's going to be able to do that. And it's a whole nother thing to lace up your boots and get on the field and take the ball and run with it. And that's something that I learned over time that I feel like, especially young men and women that are in the car business, they need to understand that what you believe is your reality. And if you believe that you can do it and everybody else thinks you're crazy, you can do it, because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's what you believe. And you got to remember that what you tell yourself is the most important thing that you hear. The conversations that you have with you, they're not thoughts, they're commands. And so you got to be careful, because if you're not feeding yourself full of positive energy and drive and you're listening to other people, they'll deflate you, because it's easy for somebody that gave up on their dreams to talk you out of chasing yours. And if you let them, they will, right? It's so important, the group of people that you surround yourself, because if you surround yourself with 4 successful people, you become the 5th. Well, if you surround yourself with 3 people that gave up, you're going to become the 4th. So separate yourself from the energy that deters you from what you know that you can do. Like from a young age, I knew that I was a person that was destined to do great things. I knew that my ambition and my drive superseded my surroundings. And so it took me till my mid-30s to finally come to terms with, I'm not where I belong. I am capable of more. Now it's time to prove it to myself. And I did it. I got my master's degree, first person in my family to have a master's degree. I went out and helped and was, just involved in every aspect of F&I training, F&I development, and not just for myself, but for everybody. One of the hardest things for me looking back is how many people came through the door of the dealership that were going to change me, help me get my numbers better, develop my income stream, move my PVR. And it was just like, who was going to reinvent the wheel next? Nobody ever came to my side of the desk and said, slide out of the way, I'm going to show you how to deliver a car the right way, because they couldn't do it, right? No school I went into where somebody stood at the front of the room was running the kind of numbers that I wanted to run. They had the best advice in the world. It just wasn't practical to go back and apply. So now every day when I get up and I walk into a dealership, I'm grateful for the opportunity that I can go in and be the person that I was looking for that didn't exist, because now I'm bringing to those dealers and I'm bringing to those individuals the one thing that I know that they truly and desperately need, and that is real life, practical, applicable advice and a demonstration of how it actually works that's repeatable, that you can use, that you can do, that you can make a difference with. Our impact for the dealer is huge, but our impact for the individuals even more. When you talk about changing the lives of hundreds of F&I managers across the country, salespeople across the country, sales managers, general managers, that's what's in it for us. That's the legacy that we're building on the back of what we're doing for the dealer themselves and the companies that they represent. So, we're just incredibly grateful for the opportunities that we get every day to go inside, make a difference, and show what a written down goal does, show what a developed mindset can bring to the table, and show just what you're capable of. We walk into dealerships all the time that tell us, you might run those numbers everywhere else, but you can't run them here. Brandon Vargas is the shining star of what you think your store is capable of is all it's ever going to be capable of until somebody shatters the glass ceiling and shows you that it wasn't what the store was capable of. It's what the store believed it was capable of. And so, Brandon's just a rock star at what he does to go in and show these guys, if you think $1,500 is a good PVR, slide out of the way. $1,500 gets us upset. $2,000, we're not even playing in the same ballpark. If we can't run north of $2,500 a car, we didn't bring you anything. That's who we are. And it's not about running the numbers. It's about creating an experience for a customer that brands the dealership, that makes that customer want to come back. It's one thing just to shove products down somebody's throat. We're not built that way. We're built as a machine to show your customers and show your dealership how to make branding a part of the process. Companies like Coke and Pepsi spend billions of dollars a year on their brand image. Why aren't dealers taking advantage of the opportunity with their F&I team that sits in front of every customer the dealership sells to brand the store? It's not a good practice. It's that no one has ever thought about it. And we're applying it every day in every store in every state to show what makes us different, because we want them to grow. We have a vested interest in our partnerships. We're not just a warranty and reinsurance company. We're not a vendor. We're your partner. We're in this thing together. I grow, you grow, we grow. It's teamwork, and that's what it's all about. Yeah. Brandon?
Well, Corson, that's actually a great question, Corson, because I've been sitting here really thinking about the question that you asked. What advice would I give to my younger self? And it's funny. I don't think I could have become as good as I have become if it wasn't for all the hard times and failures that I had to endure within the last decade, if I'm being honest. And I think, well, I've heard this quote. It's if failure is how I become strong, then how can I fail? Right? It's like when you go to the gym, you go and you break yourself down, you go to failure, and then you end up coming back stronger. And that line really hits hard to me. So I think, a lot of people are afraid of looking like a fool. And the thing about that is you can't be afraid to look like a fool, because nobody starts good at anything. You can't pick up a guitar and just play a guitar solo, right? Sure. Like you're going to have to look silly and look like a fool for the first, 3 to 6 months until you don't.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's those people who are willing to look like a fool that eventually become professionals. So, the biggest thing that I would want to tell young, aspiring, salespeople who eventually want to move up in the automotive world is, fail forward. Don't be afraid to look like a fool, because we all have to look like a fool. We all have to do it. So, that's probably the biggest thing is don't be afraid to look silly. Fail forward.
It's great advice, especially with this digital day and age, right? Like me being a young individual growing up, social media everywhere. Yeah, it sucks because everyone can look at you everywhere. If you're the odd one out, if you want to be a content creator, you're pushing and pushing and pushing. People can make fun of you so easily, but just keep dialed in on where you want to go. Keep pushing and forget about the noise, because they're going to be like, oh, they're going to follow you once you get to your destination. They're going to want to know exactly how you did it, but they don't see the hard work that you put in every day. So that's a great point. And then to bounce off of Cory's there as well, you said that it's for the individual. It's for the person, the sales team, the F&I manager themselves. It's for that individual, not the dealership. And I love that saying right there, because if you look at anyone even going to a conference, yeah, you're going to a conference for you, so be there and learn. Even if your team pushed you there, be there, learn as much as you can, and bring it back to that community. Build up your team, build up your dealership around you, and build up your company around you so you guys can grow as one. Because if one person is trying to row the boat, you're going to keep going in circles. You got to make sure everyone's rowing in the same direction, so everyone is firing on all cylinders, all pushing towards that same goal, just like you guys do inside of ARC. Love that. That was great. That was amazing. I'd ask you more questions about your backgrounds and some advice, but you guys already gave probably the best advice any entrepreneur, young individual wanting to get into any industry could get. So I really appreciate that. Where can listeners learn more about you guys, connect with you, Cory, connect with you, Brandon, learn more about ARC Nation, find training programs, whether they want to learn from you guys? Where can people find you?
Head straight to our website, arcnation.com. All the information for me, for Brandon, for our entire team. Jason Cayley, our accounting and fixed ops. I call him a guru. He laughs, says he's not, but he is. I've never seen anybody that can go through a financial statement and fix a fixed ops department the way that he can. And I mean, the guy's just a machine. So, you go to our website, you're going to see a whole lot of resources, the availability for training, partnerships, what you need to do to get in contact with us, what we've got coming up, what's coming down the pipe. I mean, it's just an invaluable resource to definitely look up, bookmark, and get in touch with us. We're ready to jump on board and show you what we're all about.
For sure. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, guys. I know we had to break it up into 2 podcasts, but I appreciate you coming back and really finishing off with a strong statement, and couldn't appreciate you guys more. So thank you for coming on the podcast. Tons of knowledge, tons of experience. I really appreciate it, and I bet you the viewers will as well.
Thanks, Corson.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.